but we want to have this opportunity for you guys to do a lot of Q&A. So we're going to do Q&A at such time at the end of the meeting. We've got, before that, I'm going to show you a video. Is that going to work? Okay, good. So last Wednesday, during the Board of Commissioners meeting, we allowed Camilla Moore to get up in front of our board and give an update. Now, who knows who Camilla Moore is? Anybody? A few hands. Camilla Moore is the chairperson for the official Citizens Transition Team, excuse me, not transportation, but transition team. And she is representing there's a 5-member board team, and that team is kind of coming up with recommendations ultimately to give to the new elected city leaders. So I thought I'd show you her presentation, which is relatively short, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and we'll cut it off, unless you want to see the back and forth with Emma Darnell. That's actually more exciting than the presentation itself. So, now I don't see a lot of firefighters and policemen in here today.
You got the man. You got me.
Well, I know, but where's your staff at? They're working, don't give me that stuff.
They're well informed.
Yeah, okay. Well, they're gonna miss this video, right? So without further ado, let's watch that, and then we'll do Q&A after that, okay? All right. I want you to understand, though, there's going to be a lot of, the reason I want to let you watch part of this, there's a lot of pull and take on how the negotiations are ultimately going to go. Just be reminded that myself, Dick Anderson, yeah, we may be working behind the scenes and getting an intergovernmental agreement signed, but ultimately, the folks that have to sign that intergovernmental agreement are two entities. Let's be absolutely clear about this. It's not Todd Long, it's not Dick Anderson, it's not Camilla Moore, it's not the five, it's going to be our Board of Commissioners signing an IGA with the new city elected leaders. Let's remind you how that works. March 8th, is it March 18th or 21st? I forget. March 21st will be round one of elections, right? So those elections will be probably a shortlisting, right, of candidates. Not saying that there could be some that get a majority, because if you get 50% plus one in the election, there is no runoff. You win the election. So those 7 council seats and the mayor's seat, if anybody gets 50% plus one, that will be the end of that particular race. If you don't get that much, they take the top 2 vote getters, and then they will go out, and that is April 18th. I get my dates picked up. So April 18th, then they'll have a runoff between those 2 individuals for that council seat or that mayor's seat. So there are some saying that we'll have 8 runoffs, right? Potentially. And that might be possible. I don't know. There's 70 plus people running for office, which means on average you got 6 or 7 people in each different race that is out there. So all this has to happen, this IGA negotiation though, it'll be rapid fire, and the goal is to have an IGA signed on May 1st. So May 1st falls on probably a Monday, doesn't it? You go look at your calendar. Is that a Monday or Tuesday? So when they come on board, they'll probably have a meeting that first day and have to approve an IGA so we can continue services. Now, I'll show some of the video in a second, but some of the points you heard here though. Point number 1, you heard from Camilla Moore and her team that what is it? It's a Monday. Great. But you heard her say clearly that it's her desire right now to start off by continuing services by contracting through Fulton County. Now, once again, I told you every single meeting, I've been very consistent, right, that there's no guarantee that's going to happen. But the new city leadership may choose not to do that, but this commission looks like they're heading that direction. So from fire, police, transportation, parks and rec, planning and zoning, they're going to contract with us. So what we have to do is put these IGAs together so that they can sign those on day 1, essentially, so those services will just keep going on. Now there's a lot of items that are not, I just said the big 5, right? Transportation, fire, police, parks, and planning. That's 5. But there are also a lot of other services that we offer that have not been decided yet. How we're going to deal with 911 services, right? The transfer station. There's a whole host of other little things like that that have to be decided to be part of IGA as well. So, you had a question before we show the video? What's your question?
I do. I'm trying to understand why
Okay, so let's talk about that a second. So transportation theoretically is being paid for out of the general fund, not general, it's not theoretical, it is paid out of the general fund, but essentially you can look at it as being paid for by lost funds that we get now that we won't get in the future. So the city will get those lost funds in the future so that transportation will be a service that ultimately the new city has to pay for. We don't pay for transportation for any other city in this county except for unincorporated Fulton. So so we've got to have an IGA to continue those transportation services as well. Does that make sense? Now, the transition team understands that because a lot of times people get transportation a little bit confused because it's not an SSD funded but it is a SSD service in that the funds that we sort of get for lost, not sort of, we get funds for lost that are going to go to the new city, so they have to pay for transportation. Is that, Keem, is that pretty good?
Yes.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you said it's gonna sign an IGA for the fire top services. So how long is the, gonna be contracted out for?
Well, that'll be a good question. Now, I don't recall if she said in the video or not, but I think they're going to be thinking about signing it through the calendar year. It's probably a good,
Through 2017?
probably, we don't know, but that's probably a good guess. You know, it could be less, it could be 6 months, it could be, 6 months would put us at technically at November 1st, but I mean, I think we ought to go through the end of the year personally. That's my suggestion. But, and honestly, there may be services they want to go beyond that. They have the full right to do so under the transition agreement. Correct, we can extend it even further. So the big rub is going to be the value of things in the IGA. So we know what the value of services are because we know it, so we know what, Chief Few, let's take it in, we know what your budget is, so we'll just pass on those expenses on SSD directly to the new city. That'll be fairly straightforward. What is a little bit confusion is that the value, the code section clearly says that we will sell fire stations for X number of dollars. What was it, the dollar amount? $5,000, right? Parklands is $100 an acre. So fire stations, but the question becomes, what about all those items in the fire station? The fire trucks, et cetera. If they were purchased with SSD funds, that becomes an answer. If they were purchased prior to us setting aside SSD funds, that may be another answer. Believe it or not, we've got items in the fire station that were purchased before the SSD fund was set up, right? Shouldn't have too much, but I mean.
It's not much at all.
Right. But certainly on transportation, we've got the same issues, and we've got items that we've purchased using grants. On the now police side, we've got, I think the helicopter, right? That was a special grant we funded. So those are the things that we've got to decide exactly how we negotiate those in the IGA. Now, I say we. Remember, who is we? Because you're going to see in a moment, Commissioner Darnell makes it abundantly clear to me that I don't have the authority to negotiate. But she's doing that for a fact, too, reminding the folks at the city transition team that they don't have the authority to negotiate either. We've had lots of discussions one-on-one with her and others, so, but let's go ahead and watch a little bit of that. I think it's worth it. Abundantly transparent here, guys. This transition team led by Camilla Moore they have what they call citizen committees. They've established a citizen committee for planning, a citizen committee for transportation, for fire. And those committees are basically they gather some data, and they're making recommendations to the transition team. All right. So what Marvin Arrington's a little bit frustrated with is that they're not going through, he's not involved in that process too much. They pick these teams, and I don't know whoever's on the teams. You may know people that are on these teams. And we're trying to go through all of our correspondence and all of our interactions with the official transition team. And we're trying not to interact in a broad scope with these other, now these committee members come to meetings and whatnot, but we're trying to go through the transition team. That's a little bit what he's frustrated about. And Emma Darnell wants to make sure that the city knows that there's a lot to this. And she makes a comment later on that this whole idea of just taking the patch that's on your shirt or on your sleeve and just changing that patch is way more complicated than that. And we're advocating on your behalf to make sure that, yes, in essence, the patch does change, right, long term. But to get to that process, is a lot more to it. And you just can't do it overnight. And obviously, they've got to set up they get their funding in place, and they've got to set up HR and their city manager. And they've, just another transparency, they've asked to lease or rent space in this building. So we're looking at space, this building here has got a lot of available space in it, and we're looking at different spots for them. We've given them a temporary office. If you go through this door here, there's a little room right there that says Transition Team on it. And they haven't used it a whole lot, but we offer that room to them to use however they want to. We're going to charge rent for them to use this building if they put the city manager in here and whatnot. And this room right here could ultimately serve potentially as their city council chambers, which I think is a great idea. So there really no other, they could rent office space in an office building somewhere probably and retrofit it, but this is kind of ready-made in a lot of areas. So we just may have to reshuffle space a little bit around here. So we're working on those items. Let's just go dive in question and answer. That's going to drag on forever, and we can't get it to work like we want to. But let's go ahead and start. Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, I live in the city of South Fulton, have been a resident for 20+ years.
Mm-hmm.
I also work for the county.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it a conflict of interest if I serve on the committee?
Okay, so this is my take on that. I'll give you a good answer. Matter of fact, Gary Stiles and I talked about this morning again, and Larry and I talked about it yesterday. So here's my deal. Ultimately, the team, transition team, and all their people that are working on this transition team are going to be making recommendations. I've told you every day that you're working today as a job interview. Have I not said that before? Over and over again. Each day you come to work is a job interview. So if there are people that are on these teams that are actively involved in the transition from the city side, and all of a sudden, miraculously, they get a job and the city decides not to give everybody else a job, I think it's going to cause conflict with individuals within Fulton County. Now, I'm hoping that everybody gets a job, so it's not an issue. But it's quite possible they'll go through, they have the right to do so. It's a new city. They can pick and choose whoever they want to pick. So if Larry's got 100+, how many firefighters you got, actual firefighters? 170. If you got 170 firefighters, they can go in there and pick 50 of them. So we're going to pick these 50, and we're going to go find 100, or in this case they want more, right? Another 200 somewhere else. All right, so what if they said, we're going to only pick the people that were helping us with the new city. So I just think that's just sets yourself up. It's not, there's nothing right. I mean, conflicts of interest are all a judgment call. It's my opinion that that's not a good situation to put yourself in. As a citizen, I can't stop anybody from doing that, but I think it's just doesn't look good. That's my 2 cents worth.
Okay, so my other question is, what is the difference when there's a county employee that's running for an office in a new city? And they work for the county and they're running for office? Is that a conflict of interest?
Well, I think it could be ultimately. I don't know that we have any that are running for office. Do we have any running for office?
Running or
No,
currently hold office?
No, I know, but do we have any that are running for
They're
office?
citizens, so they're citizens.
I agree.
Okay.
But there are certain laws, okay? If your job involves federal funds, there's certain laws versus state money and non-state money. But there's not there's no law that prohibits from doing that. Now but I'm curious now, are there anybody running for City of South Fulton office?
I think, I was at the church tonight, Eldred Morris.
No,
Okay.
it's not.
He's not gonna run?
No, it's not.
He introduced himself as running for.
No, that was a long time ago, but.
Okay, but he's not.
No, but it's new.
Right.
It's new in the district that he's living in now, because he just moved like a month or two
Okay.
ago. So you need to be in your district for 6
Right.
months or something before you.
Right. What's our current personnel policy on this issue? Either Ken, do you know it?
On which issue?
On
Running for.
being a elected official in a city where you work. You come up, use the mic, if you don't mind.
Good morning, everyone. To the best of my knowledge, there's no prohibition that prohibits a county employee from holding a position within a city. I'm fully aware of 2 employees right now that have that. I think one is the mayor of Fairborn, and the other one is a city council member in Union City. So there's no prohibition
Right.
once they're elected and
Yeah, but there's certain things, obviously, that, in this case, the Mayor of Fairburn, he does not do anything involving anything related to Fairburn as part of his job. So if your job at Fulton County is solely related to doing work for the new city, I think there does become a conflict of interest in that case, because you'd have to recuse yourself from every vote. I mean, I think you would be a bad city council person if you recuse yourself from every vote. All
So
right.
you're saying that it's not a conflict of interest if you are a citizen of the city and you work for the county and you serve on a committee?
No, I didn't say that.
You said it's of your opinion that it's a conflict of interest.
It is.
But it's not a law that's saying that you can't.
We don't have a law or a policy. I'm just telling you that I think it's my belief that I think it's somewhat potentially of a conflict. It sets yourself up to be a problem, in my opinion.
We like the county attorneys.
Yeah, and I'm not a county attorney, by the way. I play one at work all the time, but I'm not one, okay? We all play county attorneys, but we're not. And we don't have the county attorney here to give us an official ruling. That's why I said it was, in my opinion. All right? So, what other questions do we have out here? What are you hearing? What's the word on the street? People frustrated still? They're nervous? Or they're not nervous? Are they comfortable with where we're headed?
All the above.
Yeah?
All the above.
So let me ask this question. So in reference to Marvin Arrington's comment and Emma Danielle's regarding as far as them not being, I guess, involved in the transition team, why would the citizens of South Fulton need them for anything when you all already have a transition team and process that they're working hand in hand with? I don't understand why they're saying it's an issue for them that no one's asking them. First of all, they are the two commissioners who is going to be affected by the new city anyway. So why would the transition team come to them and ask them any questions when they're already going through the transition team that the county has appointed?
You're asking why Camilla Moore's transition team has not come to them. Yeah, that you'll have to ask Camilla Moore about that. On the county side, I work indirectly for the Board of Commissioners. So it's my job to keep them updated. That's why we have a regular cadence. Every recess board meeting, I give an update on the cityhood transition. It just so happened this actual cityhood transition meeting today, last week, was we allowed Camilla Moore to get up there and kind of tell what they were going on. We thought that would be very informative. But look here at this web page right quick. Go to the home page, if you would, for the county. All right, so this is a web page. If you go to the home page, there's something called the City of South Fulton Transition. Because the City of South Fulton has not set up a web page yet, they don't have their own, what I've been doing is, for the most part, not every document, but for the documents that we feel like are fine to put out there for public consumption, we've been posting presentations and documents on this webpage. Scroll down a little bit. Camilla Moore's presentation to the board, which you just watched, is on the webpage. So you can go back and watch it again. Keep scrolling down. Here's election information. It's all about qualifying and all the timetables. The IGAs that we had in other cities back in 2006, Johns Creek, Milton, Sandy Springs, we posted those IGAs so people can see what they look like. So we're trying to put information on there. Now, what we haven't done is, they've asked for salaries and a lot of personal information that we have not posted on the external webpage. But we've given them a lot of financial information that would really be, it's back office information, because the budget technically is already posted on our webpage anyway. But we've given them back information for the budget, and really, to be honest with you, whatever they want, we're going to provide to them, because it's subject to open records anyway, right? Just we're trying to provide that to the transition team, and then post it up here on this webpage, so people can get to it. So this was my thoughts on being transparent as I could. Now, a lot of folks haven't seen this page. They go, what? They call us every day looking for this, that, and other, asking for presentations, and I always direct them back to the webpage. Hey, look, we posted all this on the webpage, and it's been posted for weeks. So, question?
How does this affect the IT department? they're going through a reorg right now, and it seems like to me that would be a waste of time if you all are going to be transferring down to the city and for
Okay.
dissolving and reduction of force come the end of the year.
So IT is a little bit tricky, but let's keep this in mind. IT is a support organization, right? Support department within. So transportation, fire and police, parks and rec, they still need IT support during the process. So if the city contracts with us, provide services, just call us Company X, right? We're almost like a private provider. We'll call ourselves the County of Fulton Incorporated, right? Providing service to the city of South Fulton. But as a company, we need IT, right? We need IT support, so the expenditures on IT that we use will be part of the billing process under the IGA. Does that make sense? I mean, our fire stations will need IT. We all need IT. Can't survive without it. At least that's our thought. We've got to share those costs, and we do split. Like currently now in our budget, there's a percentage of the IT costs that are charged against the SSD, right?
Yes.
So the same thing will apply in the future. So if you hired, let's just say you hired a carpet cleaning company to come clean your carpet in your house, you're paying for IT for that company, right? It's part of their overhead rate. It's part of their overhead in charging you whatever, carpet res or whatever, $119 for 3 rooms, right? That's all figured in, their back office, their IT, their HR, so the same thing here, all that'll be figured into the cost that we end up charging the new city of South Fulton. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about retiring. I'm in an old pension plan, and I roughly have like 18 months before I'm going to retire, with no penalty. If the new city transition decide not to contract out with the police or fire, and we are forced to retire, are we going to get penalized? That's what a lot of people are asking me.
Right, so I've asked Hakeem to come. Hakeem, why don't you come up and, he knows these pension questions a lot better than I do. If you ask about state of Georgia pension, I can answer every question you have because I retired from there. But I don't know the full pension as well as I probably should, so here's an expert.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Okay, can you tell me what the situation is again, please? I wasn't listening.
I've been with the county almost 25 years.
Okay.
And I'm in the old pension.
Okay.
And I roughly have about 18 months before I can retire with no penalty. And those people that don't have that are still in the old pension, will they get penalized if the city decides to go with a new fire and police department? Or, I know if they contract out, will still, roll on like business as usual. But if they get their own fire and police and they decide not to contract out, will those who have, say, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years that are still in the old pension, will they be penalized?
Yes, there's going to be a penalty for that. That's it could do early retirement or it could be age penalty. So it just depends on what your situation is. We do allow something that with your age and years of service, if you're 79, a little over 79, you will be eligible for the pension if you're in that situation. But if it's something that maybe you don't meet that minimum requirement of either age 60 and 15 years of service or 65 or 10 years of service, then you will not be eligible for full retirement without any kind of reduction of benefits.
What's going to happen to the millions that are in the old pension that these people have been paying for and then they're going to get penalized?
The money that is in the pension plan is supposed to, you might be looking at it and say that it's $1 billion, which is true, it is $1 billion. But that $1 billion that we have there was based on what the actuary told us that we're going to need in the fund to be able to pay all of those people that are in the plan. So even though it looks like $1 billion, but we have a lot of people in it. Right now we're paying about over 3,000 people. We have over 3,000 retirees. All of them are still living. We don't know how long we're going to be paying them benefit for. So that $1 billion might not be anything, by the time, we fully pay all of these people. So that's just the way it is. Sorry about that.
Is the county looking to offer early retirement due to the city coming in?
Not at this time. The board might decide, but at this time, none that we are aware of.
So what about if it's a reduction in force? Will that count as a guideline that somebody could fall under that won't be penalized?
No, I mean, the reduction in force, the advantage you get for reduction of force, when, let's say you're in the DC plan, which is of the 401A plan. If you're in the 401A plan, usually before you can be 100% vested for county money, you have to be with the county for 5 years. Because each year, you won't be, you will not be affected, in that sense. You will not be penalized. Okay, I'm saying if you are in the 401A plan, usually you can only be vested after you've been with the county for 5 years. So each year we put in 20% of your annual salary into your contribution. Each year you're eligible for 20% of whatever you're contributing. So for over a 5-year period, you'll be 100% vested. If you leave the county before you're vested, you are not eligible to receive county contribution. You're only eligible to take out your money that you put in. But if there's a reef, then whatever money that the county put in there for you, you'll be eligible to receive.
Hey, by show of hands, who's in which plan? So let's go with the pension plan first.
Go the old plan?
Just go ahead, you call it out.
Okay, the old plan. How many people in the old plan? Okay. We got about
three,
roughly.
Right.
Okay, and the new plan, everybody's supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you also have to do that transfer from the old
What
to
about
the
the
new.
people that went from the old to the new? That makes a difference according to what you told
No, well, it makes a difference in terms of your ancillary benefits, to be eligible for benefits.
Right.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
So you're all gonna cut out the ancillary benefits if I had 3 years left to retire?
Well, with ancillary benefits, I believe it's 10 years, 10 years. If you have 10 years of service with the county.
See, that contradicts what you told me in the email.
Huh?
You told me in the email that I will be losing my health benefits, and I have 2 more.
How many years of service have you had?
I've been here 16 years.
I don't think you,
me.
I mean-
In the new plan,
oh,
I'm in the new plan, and you told me that I would lose my health benefits.
because he's in the new plan, he didn't come from the old to the new.
oh, you didn't come from old to new. Okay, I thought maybe you transferred from old to new. Okay, so we have to be careful the way, we describe all of these benefits, because, they just have too many variables to it. So you got to tell me your full story or the full detail for me to be able to provide you full information.
So if you remember, we
But when we emailed that, we put all the, because I
Yeah.
got conflicting emails too, and then when I came to the meeting, then that's when you all cleared up, but when
I need to know what you got in the email. I don't know what you got in the email, but we passed out this document too.
So every meeting we've been to, but today.
And I can make.
And we're gonna make copies
I
right
can
now.
go make copies. No, I got my card here.
Yeah, we've had this at every meeting, so
Yeah.
we created it just for these questions we
Okay,
did today.
let's go make.
Go make some copies.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I might have more stuff here that you've never seen before, so be free to take them.
All right. Who's next? Yes, sir.
From like you and David, solely pertaining to transportation, are you guys considering job placement?
So as far as with somewhere else in Public Works, per se, so one thing David will have, obviously, in Public Works, he's got a whole other side, the water and sewer side, and certainly as openings come up, those are things we do consider. If you want to move over, let's just remember this, though, and you're not on the old system. The new city is going to need good people. Let's not forget that. There's a salary and benefit package. You heard her talk all about it. It's going to be comparable.
Yeah, it's gonna be comparable, but it's gonna be, comparable to the ARCHA study, because some of us are making more than the minimum with the ARCHA study, so if they're being compared to the ARCHA study, then who's more they're making less?
Well, I can't predict what they're going to do, but they're trying to make your salaries very compatible. That's their goal. So in other words, if you got hired by the new city at some point, let's just say that they contract for transportation services through the end of the year in January, you could end up making the same thing and you just transfer your 401 right into another 401. So, I mean, it's just a job working for another government entity. But if you want to stay with the county, which is fine too, there are other jobs, even outside of public works, that you certainly can apply for. We've got other offices, and you're welcome to apply for those now. Most of you guys, I'm noticing, we're not, despite what some people say, we're not hemorrhaging people leaving, which is great. We're very excited about that. Sometimes when new cities start, I could see that being a possibility, but we're shorthanded. We don't have enough firefighters and policemen, but we're hiring some more policemen. Oh, we have recruit class coming in March. People are starting their employment with Fulton County, knowing that their job at Fulton County may end. But it's a job because they know they can go and hopefully go to the next step because they're getting trained. You think about all the stuff you're doing. Everything you do now is obviously a job interview for the next day, but it's preparing you to be a good city worker as well. Yes, sir.
I understand all that, but the question really wasn't quite answered. I mean, the only way that we could go to ward is like an opening come open.
And you have to apply for it, correct?
Okay, then, so on all the new city stuff, again, it's gonna be up to the new city whether they want us or not. And so,
Yes.
like, y'all pitching all that good stuff for the ear, but realistically, it's gonna be a whole new hiring process. Do the application, get an interview, and if we want you, we'll bring you on board.
Right. Yeah.
If y'all selling the transition team to the new city, it's a contract. The contract has an expiration date.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that they're gonna keep extending the contract? Eventually, you're gonna have to apply for the new city and get a job with the city to get a new patch.
Yeah, you've said everything I've been saying, but I disagree that I've not been trying to paint this rosy picture. I've been trying to be as honest as you can. She is saying that they're trying to hire you guys. That's their intent.
Who is she? Camilla?
Yeah, Camilla, that's it's going to be the city leaders that get elected that get to decide. So there's no guarantee. We're totally with you, and we've said that every time. There's no guarantee. I mean, they could decide to do whatever they want to May 1st.
Basically, I'm asking certain questions for the transportation staff. Ain't nobody saying that, but when we go back over there, they're gonna be asking all these questions instead of answering the questions right here, right now.
Okay.
But it is black and white. There's nothing you guys can do because it's out of y'all hands.
That's right.
Whoever is elected for the city are gonna be in total control of who they want to come on board. If that's the process, or they can contract it out. We don't want that, but we have to be realistic with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I'm just throwing this out here for the people at transportation that may not be clear about what's needed.
You speak the truth. You just don't know. I don't know what I can do to make you feel better about that.
Now, it ain't about making me feel better. I know what's going to happen when we leave. So I'm fine answering this for transportation.
Yeah. Right. So what we're trying to do from our standpoint, Dick and myself, we're fighting as much as we can so that they do keep the employees they have because it's a value. You've got a value. I mean, you know where all the potholes are and all the things that are broken, and you know how to fix things. I mean, there are things that new people won't know. There's a big value to it.
That's right.
Let me try one.
So good morning. Good morning. Good to see y'all. I think it's a great question. I think what I tried to do in the last meeting was apply the logic to it. Because you're right, we can't know what the future holds because we don't know who the elected officials will be at this point. But if you think about the logic of what we do know, so let's deal with what we do know versus what we don't know. We do know that first and foremost, the elected officials that at least are part of the transition team and authored the bill said that this city incorporation had nothing to do with our service levels. So in other words, they're not incorporating in order to improve service because service is substandard. They were incorporating for other reasons, mainly the annexation wars that were occurring, right? So first of all, as an organization, you are providing good service, they recognize good service, so then therefore you should ask yourself logically, why would they disrupt good service? So that's the first point of logic. The second point of logic is what they generally want to do and will have the resources to do is improve service, right? So they are getting a set of tax revenues that today don't flow to the SSD, but will flow to the SSD tomorrow in the form of a sales tax. So there are incremental resources that they're going to have that we never had in the SSD context. So if they want to add the fourth person to the fire truck, or if they want to add another 50 police officers, or if they want to add more dollars to transportation. Of course, transportation, as you know, is getting the windfall of all windfalls in terms of the 98 million and T-splost over the next 5 years. They're going to be able to demonstrate to citizens that we're improving service. So the notion that they're going to reduce our employment levels, again, just think about it logically, probably is not in the realm of what they would be thinking about. So they didn't do it because they need to improve service. They're not going to disrupt good service. They're going to actually have more resources to improve service. And then the last, perhaps logic around that we do know is that they are saying explicitly that they want to transfer our employees over. Now, they didn't have to say that. They could have caveated it a lot more. They could say, well, we don't know what we're going to do. It'll be up to this, that, and the other. And there's a little bit of that in there. But I'm sorry I wasn't here when the video played, but I was there when she actually said it. She said, we want to transfer all the employees over, all. And then she said there'd be some probationary period, meaning, obviously, if we're not doing our jobs, which I would assume that we are, that's why in general we provide good service, then it's a non-issue. Now, if you're a huge outlier, you're not doing your job, we ought to be taking care of that before the transfer occurs. But if for some reason you get through the process and you're still not doing your job and you're over to another employer, it's no more than if you weren't doing your job for us versus you're not doing your job for them. At some point, right, the Bible says you reap what you sow. Everybody believe that?
Yeah.
So if you're not doing your job, then you're in a precarious situation anyway. But I'd submit to you, with all that logic, if you're doing your job, we're providing good service. They want to enhance the service levels. They've said explicitly they won't pull all of our employees over. Yes, there are some new elected officials that ultimately will come into the mix, but there's nothing in all that logic that says that they're just going to upset the apple cart, right? That there are no guarantees in life, much less guarantees in a transition like this. But I think what I'd ask you to do, not selling you anything, is just apply logic kind of every step of the way. And you're whether you're a frontline person, a supervisor, you're one of these department heads that are running these organizations, that to me, when I've gone through this, again, in a major way with AT&T buying Bell South, is the only way to, keep your mind straight is, okay, now what's logical here? Are they going to outsource everything that Bell South did? No, because why? We know the customers, just like what Todd said. We knew the customers. We knew the circuits. We know the central offices. They're not going to disconnect all of that to quote unquote put AT&T people in, because they were buying not just the company, they're buying the people, the customers, the systems. You understand? So it all works together. They can't start anew tomorrow. They can't find 150 police officers tomorrow. How many firefighters do you have?
1 second.
They can't find 170 firefighters tomorrow. They don't exist. You have problems recruiting, do you not?
Absolutely.
Right. So it's just illogical to think they're going to say, now Larry, we don't want your guys and girls. We're going to go find all new ones. It doesn't work mentally. So the question on the pension, I'll tell you, I mean, it is one of these things. Now, I was the number 2 person in Bell South when we were bought. So it's not like I didn't know something. But right there at the end, I thought I had my medical coverage worked out. And so I indicated to them I'm going to go ahead, because I stayed with AT&T, was running something up in New Jersey, and decided I wanted to leave to go into public service. So I went ahead and indicated to them that I was leaving, thinking that I knew what the rule of 75 was, which then guaranteed my medical coverage coming from AT&T until retirement. Guess what? I missed it by 1 month. So literally, I had to get on the phone, call the CEO of AT&T, who was not happy that I was leaving, and say, guess what, Chief? I missed it by 1 month. Now, fortunately, he said, all right. So we'll keep you on the payroll one more month. But my point is, these things, for whatever reason, it's not because somebody has designed it to trick us all. It's just these qualified and non-qualified plans, that's a term of art in and of itself, by the way, which maybe you could explain, but I would have a problem doing, are very complicated. Most of which by federal rules, some of which by practice internal. And my best advice to you is doing what you're doing. Make sure you document it in the email. Here are my facts. Try to get the answer. Don't be surprised sometimes when you ask questions and you kind of cross ways, because if you'll ask him one way and he doesn't hear everything that you said, he may answer it thinking he's answered it truthfully and missed one point. If you didn't start in the old plan, you started in the new plan. Now, I don't even know what that nuance is. I just know from experience, after 28 years in telecom and being the number 2 person, I screwed it up just as clear as day. And I had all the staff, they could have told me what to do and all the expertise, been there 28 years, should have known it 1 month. So just be very cognizant of the fact that, you've got to be responsible for your own financial planning and get it the best information that you can, and just keep being very specific in whatever your questions are. And generally, putting them in writing is the better way of doing it as opposed to in these meetings. And then give everybody kind of the benefit of the doubt. In other words, no one's trying to screw anybody else. It's very complicated. And it always has been, and I guess always will be, life, immemorial. It just is the way it is when you start talking about benefits and retirement plans in specific. But one of the things I want to ask questions too. I hope though that, and Todd and I were talking about it this morning, this is a telecom term, we tried to reverse the polarity of what the communication was. What I mean by that is we've been communicating to you and to our Board of Commissioners what we thought the plan was, right? So we've been, each one of these meetings saying, here's the next step, here's what's going to happen. So we really tried to reverse it to say, okay, the folks that at least represent the newly elected officials when they occur, that's what the governor put them in place to do, is to do this work. Let's have them start to tell the story. Because that is, even though you point out rightly, they're not decision makers, right, explicitly in the law. All they can do is recommend. They're one more step closer than we are. We truly are one step back from them. We're recommending things. We know how to provide information to them. We can certainly tell our story. And these department heads that you have are the even better people that are telling the story. They know full well and respect each one of these department heads. But I think having them tell the story and then having you be able to hear what they're saying publicly is the next step in the process, next step to get you closer to really knowing what are the intentions. And I think she was pretty transparent in what she said. I'm sorry, go ahead.
My question would be, Hakeem, if an employee wanted to retire from the county, then go to the new city, will that be like, is that something that's workable or not?
It's a good deal for you if you can get that. I mean, I don't think anybody can stop you from doing that. If you're eligible to retire with Fulton County and you retire, you're free to do whatever you want to do. You can go work for a new company you feel is going to establish, or the new city. I don't want her. I'll make him hire you.
Is that something you are looking at, people maybe being eligible to retire from the county, then go over to the new city?
I think some people are going to do that.
It's whoever's eligible to retire, when the contract finally ends, if you're eligible to retire, you will retire.
Yeah.
If you're not eligible to retire, you'll just end employment.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, you know something? I would advise you to do that. Because if I were you, what I'll do is this. I'm going to sit down and say, okay, what would be my retirement benefits? I look at what that benefit is, how much will I be getting in that new place that I'm going, in that new city. You combine both, you're going to be better off than what you have now. I mean, it's just a fact. So that's just me, I mean, if you sit down and talk to me about it, and you provide me all your information, I can, give you suggestions.
Is there a minimum amount of time that you have to notify the county of your retirement?
You mean, if you're in the DB plan, or?
Well, I'm in the new plan. So
No.
I get, in my job, could go on May 1st, my very first
Well,
day.
now, if you're in the 401 plan, or you have your defined if you're eligible for retirement in the 401k plan, you can, all you have to do is notify us, and then, I guess the following month, your benefits, will kick in. If you have a DC, the 457 plan, now you gotta be careful with that because, there are some IRS rules and regulations that you need to abide with. That one is different. 401k plan is what we are administering ourselves as our retirement plan. So,
Because, some of us may not have much notice. I'm just saying, some of us may not have much notice of when we're going. It may be.
is this working? Is this working?
No. That's not, that's just, oh, thank you.
Okay.
So,
Just repeat the question.
no, I'm just, my question was, it was, some of us may not have much notice, and if it's on May 1st, are there things that we need to do in advance?
So
If we're required to give 2 weeks notice to the county for retirement.
let me ask the question this way. Wouldn't it be true that, I feel like Commissioner Darnell, wouldn't it be true? I'm gonna get back up here and ask that question. But because kind of going where Randy was going, on the date that services have ended in Fulton County under a contract and your employment is effectively ended, do you really have to notify of intention to retire, or are you not effectively retired? In other words, you see what I'm saying? Because, in other words, he shouldn't have to worry about, it wouldn't seem like to me, a notification period, because whenever that contract ended and his services in Fulton County are going to terminate and he's retirement eligible, wouldn't he be retired?
Yes, it will be, but we still need the application. We still need the application form to be completed so that we can take it from there.
But
But
I don't know to
what
put the
about his time
application in
question, though?
until May 2nd.
Right.
So maybe do we need to go back and look at, and I don't know what.
I don't want to lose my benefits because I
Right.
let go versus having the opportunity to retire.
About what the process is. So in essence, can he do a pre-retirement package? I've seen people get to approve.
I mean,
Within the same day.
Why don't we take that back?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
let me
let's
look
try to
into
answer
that,
it off the cuff.
So,
Why don't we take that issue back and figure out how notification is a non-issue, because it shouldn't be.
Yeah, because basically what he's saying is that May 1st, they're saying that they may want to take this department over. So if he knows he can retire, should he not today be putting in a possible notice saying, hey, I expect to, tentative notice to say, I respectfully would like to retire on May 1st, tentatively knowing that they're gonna take my department over on May 2nd.
and we've had that. We've had that before. Employees have submitted application form telling us that they're going to retire at a certain date, and then they change their mind. They came back to us to tell us that I'm no longer retiring. But I know this case is a little bit different.
To do that, I know there are a good number of folks in my department who need to be told.
If you do that, it will make things easier for us, because what it will do for us, it will give us time to start doing, all of the things that we need to do to make sure that, come that day, things will.
Let's put that in frequently asked questions.
That's
Okay.
There's a whole back page that's open on the back of this document.
We'll look into
Room
that.
to put that question.
Yes, we'll look into, we'll put that in.
What if that's your question? Okay, well, what if you don't tentatively say you want to retire and you get RIF? Is it still, say Nelson said, his situation is different. What if you don't say you want to retire tentatively May 1st and they take full charge ownership of the city? And then if you are eligible, then you get RIF, then what does that mean?
But you're eligible to
So
retire?
you automatically retire?
Well, no, you're still gonna have to submit the application form. You have to
You
come.
still submit application, you
Yes.
get RIF, right?
Yes.
But do you get unemployment?
That'd be a question. Let's answer the question. All right, we'll answer all the RIF and tip questions. We'll put that on the back.
You want to have your
Yes, sir.
right?
All right, hold on, guys. We got a question in the back.
My question would be, if May 1st come and you go to a city, you automatically gonna be retired from Fulton County. Isn't it?
No, so, no. No, so if we enter an agreement for an IGA to do services X through a time period, You'll still be a Fulton County employee until such time that contract ends.
Oh, okay, so you still be working.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
What if there is no contract?
Wait, your turn.
I have a question as it relates to the police department.
Okay, all right, listen up, guys.
As it relates to the police department, I noticed that in a lot of the meetings, we talked about sworn personnel. A lot about the sworn personnel. And so a lot of the sworn personnel are in the SSSD fund. But what about the personnel that are in the general fund? Like you have the Public Safety Training Center, and you have our Records and Reports Division.
Right.
In GCIC, which is staffed by civilians. So how does that affect us?
Right. So the jobs that are under police department that are funded by general fund, we're going to figure out another reporting section to come under, essentially. We haven't decided how that's going to look and feel yet. We still got questions about the training center, about what happens to that. Obviously, we'll be talking with Ted Jackson with the Sheriff's Department to see if there's any collaboration we could do. But ultimately, we will have to find another reporting mechanism for those folks to report to. But they will stay on board with Fulton County until we figure out exactly how to handle it all.
If they're in the general fund?
Yes, ma'am. At least that's the thought. That's a good question, though. Are you one of those employees?
Yes, but here's the thing. I work at the training center, but I'm paid out of SSSD.
So what do you do?
I'm the administrative supervisor at the training center.
But are you sure it's paid out of SSD? I wonder why that is. So.
Because as you know, with the police department, you're assigned.
Yeah, the department might have determined that.
So I'm assigned to the training center.
Right.
I mean, your department might have determined that the duties that you perform are related to the SSD. That is possible. I don't know what actual duties that you are performing. And the only thing they're doing is just to house your office in the public safety building. The training center.
Well, that would be an issue.
I'm actually doing stuff at the training center,
Yeah.
which
Well, you
covers all the agencies that come to the training center for training.
Okay. Well, we certainly need to look into that. And matter of fact, if we could get with the Keem afterwards, we need to resolve that issue.
And I'm the same way. I mean, I work for IT, but I get paid out of SSD.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
what I was asking earlier. How does that affect?
Well, like I said before, we'll have to, that'll be part of our service agreements, providing IT services still. It's through the time period, but at some point, right, we won't need certain IT people, just like fire and police. Yes, ma'am.
What's the status on Fulton Industrial Boulevard?
All right, so Fulton Industrial Boulevard, there are two bills going through the General Assembly right now. And these bills essentially allow for a referendum in November concerning what to do with FID. So that means May 1st, nothing changes in that FID area. We still provide service, and we don't have to provide service under a contract because it's still technically our unincorporated area. So we've got this small, I call it the sub-SSD budget, we call it the FID budget. And that'll stay in place, but long-term though, if that does not get resolved, long-term, if we're left 5 years from now with that little small area, we would probably end up contracting with the city of South Fulton to provide services to that area. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. So a lot of the services they're going to need, obviously, it's not a problem now because if they contract with us, but Wyvern, the office, Larry, you work in, all those offices and buildings are located in the FID. So which is quite unusual that we've got most of our office space is actually in an area that's not going to be part of the new city. But it's perfectly fine for providing service because technically our office could be anywhere, right? We could be based out of Alabama for that matter if we were a private contractor. But we're yes ma'am.
Hey, their time period on the contract will exit the city, 2018. Is that an ending point? They need some employees?
No, we have not determined what that contract length time is. We're guessing that it will be some period of time. We're going to suggest, at least through the end of the calendar year, maybe even longer with a period of extension, but we don't know. But ultimately, the transition law that's put in law says that we have until November of 2018 to get all this stuff worked out. So at some point before 2018, or on November 2018, then we'll have to get that resolved. Yes. Anything else? Well, service, what's a service package? Severance package. Well, your severance package will consist of the leave time you built up. Your bust out. So we don't have severance packages here at the county for anybody, right? Well, I want to say thank you again for hanging with us today. This is our 4th meeting. Anticipate another meeting sometime probably end of March, maybe beginning of April. We will continue to have these meetings. Thank you for coming, though. Have a great day.
Thank you.